Now we can set off in chase of Vectra. Whoa, shit, don't want to be out here, don't want to be out here. Ooh, don't want to be there either. Oh, God, no. Oh, no, 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 no. And that's not good. What's going on, guys? My name is Matilio and welcome back to Project Cars 2 and round 4 of the WSRC GT5 Cup. And this week, as you can see, we are at the very lovely Sugo circuit in Japan. And once again, this round will consist of 2 races. The first being a 15-minute sprint race, and that will be the grid for that will be decided via a 10-minute qualifying session, and then we'll have a 20-lap feature race with mandatory pit stops, and the grid order for that will be decided from the results of the sprint race. So should be interesting. And before we jump into it, I've said it numerous times and I'm going to say it again, apologies for the lack of content. I went to this wedding that I've mentioned a few times. The hotel room, the bed was rock hard, and I could barely move in the morning, and I've been barely able to move throughout the week. It's starting to feel a bit better now, so I'm able to kind of sit down and do the editing and get this all set up and done for you. So yeah, apologies for that. There'll be back-to-back videos. This one will hopefully be out on the Sunday, and then we'll have another one on the Monday, and that'll have us all caught up and up to date with the WSRC GT5 Cup. And then going forward, it'll be Fridays or Saturdays that this particular series will be on. So yeah, that's all that done. So yeah, let's jump straight into it, and we're going to start off by taking a look to see how myself and everybody else got on in qualifying for the sprint race. So, on to qualifying, and it wasn't a great qualifying, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't a brilliant qualifying. At the moment we're in 4th and we've just improved, but this lap we're on now will be our best lap of the session. And yeah, I mean, it's a fairly tricky circuit. There's a lot of, you know, sort of longish corners. This first section is, you know, a very quick, very sweeping section, and then through here it gets a little bit slower as we move uphill, and then up to this this chicane, which is a lot trickier than it looks. Actually, it's slightly off camber on the entry. As you can see, we make a little bit of a mistake there, and that was sort of a theme of not only myself but a lot of drivers in this particular round, where if you get over those curbs, you just get dragged out into no man's land very easily. So yeah, that was something to be wary of. But as we come down the back straight, you can see through the first sector, we're actually down by nearly 0.2 of a second. So we've still got plenty of work to do if we are to improve. And at the moment, we have been pipped into or dropped down to 5th place, thanks to Nasty PJ, who's just ahead of us by about 0.2 at this point. But when it came down to it, through the back end of Sector 2 and through Sector 3, I seem to have pretty good pace. So it was Sector 1 where I was finding my struggles as we come through this last corner. Very long uphill right-hander, slightly cambered. You can feel the car, you can hear it just labouring just a little bit as we move uphill and up to the crest now. But yeah, so like I said, wasn't a brilliant qualify, but on this lap we are going to improve it. It's going to take us to a 1:32.396, which actually changed to a 1:32.4 in the timing charts, and was only good enough for 6th place as Paul at the last pipped us as well. He dropped us down and he moved himself up to 3rd place. So yeah, like I said, not a brilliant qualifying. Looking at the rest of the order, Matt O'Keefe picks up his first pole position of the season, so well done to him. Then we've got JOBW in 2nd, Paul, as we mentioned, in 3rd, Vectra in 4th, Nasty PJ in 5th, along with myself on the 3rd row. Then we've got Matt Jeffrey and Tro, Colonel Red Eye and Twisted Tire Fitter round out the top 10 there. So it's going to be a fairly difficult race. It's a bit of a narrow racetrack. There's not a whole lot of places where overtaking can happen. You know, down into turn 1 is a good place. After that, maybe coming off the back straight, but it's still that corner coming off the back straight is still fairly quickly, and you've got to have a very good exit. You've got to nail your exit there as well, because they're all identical cars. So it's going to be a tough race. So yeah, what we're going to do though, before we jump into the race itself, we're just going to take a look at the standings, just to remind ourselves of that. And after 3 rounds, going into this one, Nasty PJ leads the standings by 3 points from myself. Then we've got JLBW, 35 points back in 3rd place, with Matt O'Keefe on 55 in 4th place. So we've got Atreus, Paul, Curler Redeye, Vectra, Twitter Tie Fitter, Tro, and then we've got Mitch, Matt Jeffrey, and Jumper Digital rounding out the standings there. So yeah, but it's only round 4. There's still a lot to play for. Still plenty of points on the board and available, so it's going to be a tough race. It's going to be an interesting one. So what we're going to do now, though, is we are going to head down to the track and we're going to see how myself and everybody else gets on in the sprint race. Okay then, guys, here we go. And we lost the pole sitter early on, so we've already been promoted to 5th. Whoa, and I'm getting bumped now. But we did what we had to do. We got ahead of Nasty PJ, who is our championship rival, of course. And we got the front 2, Paul and JLBW, going at it. And as things stand, we're on the podium. But it's a 15-minute race, so anything can happen still. Nasty PJ spun it. Maybe he got into the back of Vectra. But it's so easy to get over the rumble strips and find yourself in trouble and just really unsettle the car, as we saw when we came down to here on the last lap. Took the corner too narrow there. And JLBW got over that on the grass. And now Paul leads. But Vectra got very close there. We had to go defensive. And now he's got out of shape, and now we've inherited the lead. So much like we did in the sprint race in Spain, the leaders have just fell away in front of us, and now we lead the race. As we've just passed the halfway mark. So we just got to stay error-free, and we could be on for another win. And now we've got a much bigger gap. Well, it's only about another 2 or 3 tenths, but it can make all the difference. And Vectra made a little bit of an error there. He got wide coming off the back straight, got onto the grass. But we didn't take that final corner as well as we could have because he's catching up again. We're actually pulling away a little bit, or we were.
1 minute remaining.
So this should be the final lap.
Final lap now. Guy behind close enough to have pop at you, so prepare to defend yourself. We want this win.
But Paul might have to go defensive. JRBW is not far behind him. We are starting to pull away, but the last thing we need right now is back markers. And his twisted tyre fitter, who is the guy just ahead, he's struggling with possibly damage, but won't really matter as long as he doesn't swing across the front of us. We should be all right. And once again, back-to-back weeks, we're going to bag another win in the sprint race. Get in, and we're going to retake the lead in the championship. Yes. Good race, but again, it was just. What can I say? It was just a case that the leaders sort of just fell away in front of us, you know. Would have been nice to maybe make some overtakes and some passes here and there, but, you know, end of the day, a win's a win. I'll take it. It puts us back into the lead of the championship. But yeah, so what we're going to do now is we're going to hand over to the other Martino for the post-race analysis. So there you have it then, guys. Another win, this time in the sprint race at Sugo. And overall, pretty good race. We can't really say any better, can you? It's a win. A win's a win. Much like Catalonia, where guys were just falling off track ahead of us, JRBW, and then Paul had another issue on the same lap. So, yeah, and then it was just a case of just keeping the car on track, keeping it pointing in the right direction, and the racing was so close. Vectra was right at my arse the whole of that race, pretty much, and JRBW wasn't far behind as well. I mean, if you look at the finishing order, as you can see, the top three finishers separated by 0.7 of a second, so that just tells you how close the racing was. So it was a very intense race, very tough race. Vectra pushed me all the way, so I'm happy with the win there. But very good driving from not only Vectra but JRBW as well, who I think he got promoted to pole after Matt O'Keefe got booted out, but we'll get onto that in a second. So following the top three there, you got Atrius finishing in fourth there. Paul, who led the race for a couple of laps, sorry, not a couple of laps, a couple of corners, unfortunately. JRBW had his little issue coming out of turn 8 onto the back straight, and then a couple of corners later, the penultimate corner of the lap, he just lost the back end, tried to hold on to it, but just wasn't having it, but he recovered to finish fifth there, so that's a pretty good result. Then we got Tro in sixth place, followed by Matt Jeffrey. Nasty PJ, he had a little bit of an issue. You remember, I think it was lap number 3, he spun it coming onto that back straight, turn number 8, I think it was again. So, yeah, disappointing for him, but good for us because he is our main title rival. And then we got Twisted Tyre Fit and Colonel Red Eye rounding out the top 10. As I mentioned, Matt O'Keefe, the pole sitter, got booted out of the lobby. That's the third or fourth time that's happened to him. If those things hadn't have happened, then I think he would have been right up there with myself and Nasty PJ there. But we still got drop rounds to come into play, so that will help him and help his cause as well. But yeah, so pretty good race all around. It's going to be a fun feature race, and for the first time this season, the feature race is actually going to happen at night. So that's going to add another little extra facet to it. It's going to be 20 laps, mandatory pit stops as always, and as we know, the finishing order from the sprint race decides the grid order for the feature race. So I'm going to be starting on pole ahead of Vectra and JLBW, so it's going to be a very, very tough start. But what we're going to do now, though, no more talking from this Matinho. We're going to hand over to the other Matinho and head down to the grid to see what happens to myself and everybody else in the feature race.
Concentrate on the lights now. Let's get a nice clean getaway and hold that pole.
Okay then, guys, here we go. The feature race. And it wasn't a very good start, because I reckon Vectra is, yep, he's got past us. And we've lost Atreus. So we're again down to 10 runners. And I'm not quite sure why it's happened at this sort of time of day, but it is. So we just got to try and stay as close as possible to see if we can't push him into a mistake. But we're not going to do it by making mistakes ourselves. And as I said, we've got to drive the laps just a little bit differently at the moment, purely because the car's heavy with fuel. Now we can set off in chase of Vectra. Whoa, yeah, don't want to be out here, don't want to be out here. Ooh, don't want to be there either. Oh god, no, oh no, 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 no. And that's not good. Oh, well, that's absolutely ruined the race. And I've lost the wheel as well. I'm going to have to try and limp it to the pits. I've either lost the wheel or I've burst the tyre. I'm not quite sure what, but I tried to keep it out of the way of everybody, but just wasn't having it. And it's going to be a long pit stop because we got a lot of damage to repair. God damn it, I can't believe I did that. And it screwed JRBW's race as well, so I'm really sorry to him. I just, as soon as these things get unsettled, they're all over the place. They're very, very hard to recover after an accident. But we'll do our pit stop now. We're not going to change tyres. We'll have a splash of fuel and then we'll have a lot of repairs. Like I said, I can only apologise to JRBW. That was fully my fault.
All clear. Away you go.
Tried to push through that corner. I don't know if you can hear that, my steering wheel rumbling. So there's definitely something wrong with the car. What it is, I'm not sure. It seems to get worse the faster we go. So I'm not sure, maybe if it's a... I don't know, if the wheel did stay on, then maybe it's a flat spot. Maybe that's what the rumbling is, because it seems to get worse when we speed up. But we're just going around so slow at the minute. And JLBW has left the session. I can only apologise, it was fully my fault. I think maybe it's a case that he didn't have it on repairing damage in the pits, and his car probably would have been undrivable. It would have been a sizable impact. It looks like someone else has had an accident because there's pylons and whatnot spread all over the place. We've got a couple of guys in the pits, Matt O'Keefe and Tro. Are we going to be able to get out in front of them though? And we've managed it. So in order to keep our lead in the championship intact, we've got a better Nasty PJ's result from the sprint race. Which means we've got to get our foot down and put a bit of space between us and those behind. Well, ourselves and those behind. We've got some cars just ahead. We've got Paul, who was very much in the running for a potential race win in the sprint race. I'm not sure if he's pitted. I'm inclined to think he has. Oh, this long corner. It's a long right-hander and it's just putting a fair amount of stress on those left-hand tyres, which is not what I want, especially that front left. And that was Twisted Tyre Fit we just passed, facing the other way. So while I think a podium is probably out of our reach, fourth could be very much on. Because we've got Colonel Red Eye and Paul going head to head. I think Colonel Red Eye may have just got a slowdown penalty. And we had a bit of a battle with Colonel Red Eye at Brands Hatch in the feature race. And he's weaving now. Why is he weaving? I'm not sure. And the big problem is Colonel Red Eye doesn't have his headlights on, or he doesn't have any, so I can't really see where he is sometimes. And the leader now is in the pits, Matt Jeffrey. He's got a fairly big buffer though. But let's see if we can't get up there maybe. It's a long shot. Admittedly, it is a very long shot, but you never know. Botched pit stop. Oh, he's pretty much out now, so yeah, we've got no hope of catching him. Poor mate. Because he's pretty much checked out and he's well up the road. No, I think Matt Jeffrey's got a fairly big lead, so unless he makes a mistake, he could be looking at a very credible podium finish. So here we go then, guys. About to start the final lap of the race. You've got Matt Jeffrey and Paul pretty much all over each other for third place. We're 10 seconds back down the road, however, so I don't think we're going to be able to influence it unless someone makes a mistake somewhere. be our only hope of maybe snatching the most unlikely podium finish you'll ever see. We are closing on him a bit though. Try and put in the fastest lap we possibly can. Pretty much side by side going down into this next corner. And there's the race finished. That was Colonel Red Eye, who we passed a little while back. Whoa, Christ almighty. Whoa, okay. Well, through the final corner, it's not been a very good race, all in all, for ourselves. All things considered, we started on pole, but... Whoa, Christ fucking mighty, what are you doing turning across the track, you fucking idiot? What the fuck? I mean, I saw him and I moved out and I went to move, but what the fuck was he thinking turning across the track? Well, there we go, guys. You see what you need to see. Not a great race, but we'll hand over to the other Matinho now for the post-race analysis. So there you have it then, guys. Round 4 in the books, and overall not a bad round, a bit of a mixed bag. We got the win in the first race, but in the second race, you saw we had a massive accident. That was all my doing. I pushed a little bit too far, too much through the penultimate corner, and just tried everything I could to keep it off track, and it went in the one place I didn't want it to go, and then it just left JRBW with nowhere to go. So apologies to him. Apologies to Nasty PJ as well. I think he got a little bit of contact as well. And apologies to Paul also for my little outburst. I do tend to have really bad, really terrible race rage when it comes to things like that. He ran out of fuel. He's trying to get across to the pit lane to try and auto drive it across the finish line, but yeah, by the time I'd kind of reached him, there was 100 yards between us. I'd made my move, he'd made his, and there was just nowhere to go. It's going to end in an accident, really. So yeah, but let's take a look at the rest of the finishing order now. And as we can see, Vectra picks up his first win of the season. Is very, very quick around here. Got second in the first race and first in the second, so definitely he was probably the driver of the round for this time around. Got the lead and didn't look back, really. Didn't really have an answer to him. Then we got Nasty PJ in second, so recovering after his disappointing result in the sprint race, recovering from second to finish 7th. He was pushing Vectra quite hard, but the gap was 11 seconds by the end of it. Then we got Matt Jeffrey in third. I think he was running in 4th going into the last few corners, but as we know, Paul ran out of fuel and eventually dropped down to 5th. We've got ourselves in 4th, of course. Then we've got Tro, Matt O'Keefe, and Colonel Red Eye retired. For what reason, I'm not sure. It could again be fuel. A few people have had problems with fuel because the calculations in game are so far off. You have to do your own calculations with these cars to make sure you get to the end there. But yeah, only 8 finishes for this one, and what all that does for the standings. And it's all changed at the top. So as you can see, we now lead the championship by 10 points over Nasty PJ. Then we've got JLBW still in 3rd place. He picked up a few points, not many, but he picked up a few points for this round. Then we've got Vectra in 4th, courtesy of his first win in a very, very good round. He's jumped right up the order. Then we've got Paul in 5th place. Matt O'Keefe just behind, just a point behind in 6th. Then we've got Atrius, followed by Tro. So it's all very close between those. One good round, as we saw from Vectra, can just have you fired right up to the sharp end of the table. Then we've got Colonel Red Eye in 9th, Matt Jeffrey in 10th, Twisted Tire Fitter just behind in 11th, and Mitch and Jumper Digital rounding out the standings there. But there we go, guys. That is the end of today's video. I did want to get it out on the Sunday, but it's honestly, it's like 10 o'clock now, so by the time it's rendered and uploaded, it's going to be midnight, and that's no good. So I'm going to get this out hopefully for around midday, 1 o'clock on the Monday tomorrow, and then we'll have round 5 coming out on the Tuesday. maybe around the the normal time, like the 5 p.m. sort of time there. So yeah, that's like I said, the end of today's video, guys. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, you would like to see more Project Cars 2 or just general racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to get involved with the guys from the Weekly Sim Racing Championships, as I've said numerous times, they run various different championships on various different days. So if you'd like to find a good group of very solid, very fair races, then the link to their Facebook group is in the description. Go check them out. Tell them Matinho sent you. But once again, guys, thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video, where next time we're heading to Sakito. Peace.